Good evening, everyone. I do apologize. This was supposed to be a live session, and I hope you all enjoyed the replay. I had some technical problems, and so I wasn't able to go live on YouTube. This is a lesson learned, and I guess for next time I know where I've made my errors. So bear with me. Everybody will that registered will receive the video. Thank you for coming today to stop proving yourself from performance to self-trust. So if we begin, so we can begin, but before we begin, I want to invite you out of your urgency into a room. I have been in urgent mode because I've been panicking because I had some IT problems with going live on YouTube. And so I feel that I've let people down by not being there for them. But it's all okay because we learn by our mistakes. Opportunities for growth, as I call them. So arriving, let's pause, breathe, and arrive. So before we begin, I would like you to come out of your urgency and come into the room. Nothing needs to be done just yet. Just notice your body here. Notice the chair you're sitting in, spine straight. Notice your breath, the pace you arrived with. Notice all that. The space moves differently. So let's begin grounding ourselves before we start. If we breathe into the diaphragm, so when you take a deep breath, your tummy comes out rather than the chest, shallow breathing. And when you breathe out, the tummy goes in. So if you actually close your eyes for a moment, and we're going to breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 6. So exhaling all the air that we've taken in so that it's empty. And then we'll breathe in for 4 again and out for 6. And if you do that 3 times, and while we're breathing inwards, when you breathe in to your whole body, and you radiate the light into your body. And when you breathe out, radiate that light out into the world. So when you're ready, you close your eyes. You breathe in for 4. Breathe out for 6. And remember, when you breathe in, you let the light in. Breathe in for 4. And breathe out for 5. Breathe in for 4. And breathe out for 5. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So many women here are tired because they're failing. This is the recognition. You're capable, you're accomplished, and you're quietly tired. So you're tired because you're managing themselves all the time. You're monitoring how you sound, how you're perceived. That kind of tired doesn't show up on a resume or a CV, as some may call it, but the body knows it well. So even though it's not showing out to others, the body recognizes it. When you're in touch with your body, you have these feelings and you know when your body is not in alignment with you. So this I call invisible labor. This is the labor no one sees. The emotional and nervous system work on staying acceptable, composed, and easy. This is not a flaw. It's often something you learned earlier on in life while you were growing up as a way that we say stay safe. So we're always monitoring ourselves, always managing, always adjusting. And this is adjusting out. And the monitoring is not for us. The monitoring usually is external from the expectations that's expected of us. This is the performance loop. So trying harder, thinking more, and explaining ourselves, not because we lack confidence, but because at some point proving became protective. Over explaining felt safer than being misunderstood. That's a big one that I have. Over delivering felt safer than being overlooked or wanting to always be a perfectionist. Avoiding conflict felt safer rather than being argumentative. Second guessing oneself felt safer. So that lack of trust, always doubting oneself. Overcoming, over controlling also felt safer. So wanting to control situations that's a lot of times out of our control, and that causes a lot of anxiety. Inconsistent boundaries felt safer. Um, People pleasing disguised as being nice also felt safer because wanting to be liked. And slowly this became normal. So these usually are patterns that we start developing in our early years. And by the time we become adults, it becomes like a part of us. So it's kind of normal. And so we don't really understand that there needs to be a reclaiming of who we truly are. So one thing I talk about a lot is the polished mask. So the polished mask, so naturally we feel we may be women who are highly competent, but within really at ease. So let's talk about the polished mask. She's capable, she's reliable, and she's resilient, but rarely at rest inside and within. There's that uneasiness. So there's a question which you may ask: am I worthy to be on this stage? I might ask myself. This is what I often call the polished mask. So ease was never modeled, only strength. So the body stays alert even when life looks successful. So on the outside, we appear successful, but we're always on the alert. Am I worthy to be here? So, yes, there is a cost for this, for having the mask on. There is a cost. Not just exhaustion from that, but a disconnection. Disconnection from our intuition, disconnection from our true joy. The cost: overthinking, over delivering, over functioning. From the part of you that knows when enough is enough. The body always tells the truth first. So if we listen to our bodies, we can feel the unease and know that we're not safe from within ourselves. This is why learning to listen to the body is so, so important. An example I can give you, a true story from me just a few days ago. For a period of time, I've been going on this meeting, and I noticed that I do enjoy the conversations from one to go, but because of the confrontation that happens within these meetings, I felt my body feeling some sort of anxiety, so my sleepless nights, or I couldn't sleep well in the night. Before I think, okay, just take deep breaths, to make myself to be at ease. So there was a lot of anxiety going on from within, because again, avoiding the confrontation, thinking that I would feel safe. And I guess temporarily I did kind of feel safe, but was that true safety? That was an external thing rather than internal safety to resolve the situation. So what most women have been taught to fix self-doubt by becoming better, stronger, or clearer. But what if that approach has been missing something deeper? What if self-doubt isn't a confidence problem, but a self-worth one? Confidence would ask and say, can I do this well? And of course, if you're competent at what you're doing, The answer would be yes, I can do this well. But self-worth in return asks, am I safe to be seen? Not only am I safe to be seen, but am I safe to be seen even if I don't do it well? Like in terms of what's happened now, do I feel safe even though I know there's been people who have come on, what are they going to feel about me? So how strong is my self-worth about that? Is that going to tear me down just because I had IT problems? And so I might be feeling unsafe from within. Many women try to repair their confidence because we think it's a confidence problem, when actually it's not a confidence problem, but an attention for worthiness. Am I worthy? This threshold, performance to presence. Performance is externally referenced, like I said earlier. Presence is internally anchored. So most of the time we're in performance mode, trying to perform, to be better, so that we can look better, or we're trying to go for something, it makes us feel good. But if we have true self-worth, we're present. So present in the moment as to what we're doing. It doesn't matter about the past because we can't change it. And it doesn't matter about the future because we don't know if it will ever happen. So what we have now is to be present in the moment. So when we're present, we don't need to convince, we just are. Your body has already arrived and your voice follows. And this is self-trust. When you trust yourself, you're really grounded in what you're doing and what you're saying. So now let's talk about nervous system. This is something I'm getting to really recognize in me. Things like our heart, our nervous system, things that go on in our bodies, we take for granted, and we don't really realize and understand how everything works in tandem with everything. So this is something I didn't learn through theory. I've learned this through lived experience. So when the nervous system settles, the language simplifies. The pace is slower. Boundaries become cleaner and clearer. Authority becomes embodied and not performed. So your voice stops pushing and everything just flows. If we're always pushing, we're not in flow. We should be always in flow. So it's listening to our bodies, understanding what's happening within our nervous system. Where we've been taught that credibility comes more from words, and I think that's the thing. But I know we hear a lot about pause and silence and listen more, but are we really doing that? Do we really have enough trust to pause and be silent? But trust is not built through explanation, and that, as I've found out, because you can explain and explain and explain, it doesn't happen. And what trust, like I learned today more about internal trust. It's so important to have internal trust. Trust is felt, and when your system is regulated, people feel that trust. So if you trust yourself, it's felt externally. So there you go. Trust is so important. For many women, worth became conditioned very early on. We were taught to be helpful, to be good, to be impressive, because again, maybe the people pleasing, so when you're helpful, when you're good, when you're impressive, people tend to like you. But worth was never meant to be negotiated. This is about unhooking from that old contract. You were never meant to earn your worth. And this is what I write about in my book, Reclaiming Your Worth. The remembering is slower than learning, but it lasts longer. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming who you already are. It's about returning to who you were before proving became necessary. So about the book. The book is a woman's guide. So reclaiming your worth, a woman's guide to living by choice, not by default. So it's your choice and not by default. Somewhere along the way, many capable, accomplished women learned to measure their value by how much they could endure, how much they could achieve, how much they could hold together. This book is an invitation to pause, to soften the thriving, to loosen the grip that I'm not enough, because you are. To remember that what was never lost was not your worth. It was only buried beneath expectation, which is all external. Reclaiming your worth is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to yourself. So the woman who existed before the proving, before the performance, before worth became something to earn. And inside the book, there's a 5-point manifesto, and this manifesto gently guides you through 5 foundational shifts. Stop earning your worth and disentangle identity from achievement. Uncover inherited stories that quietly shape you, that you are enough. So working on your inner critic, the narrative that's going on in your head. You define success using your inner compass, not external metrics. And that shows true self-worth. Set boundaries as an act of self-respect, not self-protection. Live visibly and boldly, creating ripple effects far beyond yourself. And each chapter blends reflection, embodied insight. So the exercises in there and grounded practices, not to fix you, but to remind you of who you already are. So part of the book is joining the reading circle, and that's the website to come on there. I'll post that to you in the emails. You're warmly invited to join this 4-week journey. So I'll be taking bits out of the book, not everything out of the book. And in week 1, we will talk about the polished mask. So this is where, like I said earlier, where you feel competent, you've achieved, and you appear successful, but inside you think you're asking those questions. Am I worthy to be here? Am I good enough? That's a big one. The imposter syndrome. Week 2, we'll be talking about the inner critic and inherited stories. We'll move on to, in week 3, to safety, self-trust, and the body. And finally, in week 4, from work to voice. So register to join the book circle. A gentle invitation to come read, reflect, and remember who we truly are. So what becomes possible when you stop proving? I'm not going to answer that for you. Just notice what comes up, not in your head, but in your body. That's where your truth really lives. So, self-trust doesn't announce itself. Self-trust does not demand attention. It changes how you move. It changes how you move, how you speak, how you rest, and when you stop proving. something very powerful, something very quiet becomes very powerful. So as we close, we are no longer in teaching, we are in landing. Nothing needs to be proven. As I know you're all watching this back or you're on the replay, I want to honor you. Nothing needs to be proven on your way out of this room. You're allowed to leave just as you are. Thank you. And if you've got any questions, you can DM me or you can send me an email. Thank you very much for listening. And again, once again, my sincere apologies for the IT issues. And until next time, and I hope you join me in March for the reading circle, where we can uncover some of these strategies. Bye for now.